Hi, I'm Jessa.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Jessa and Alex Review.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I did forget what the title was.
I could see it in your eyes.
I had a panic.
I could see it in your eyes.
I was like,
you were like,
well, because I've been editing No Way Home, and so I was like, don't say it, Alex, because nothing has been as good as seeing No Way Home. So every new movie I go to see, I'm like, I'm going to see Spider-Man No Way Home. Jessa knows.
She keeps texting me and being like, I'm seeing Spider-Man at such and such. I'm like, no, we're seeing the Batman, Alex.
And then I'm like, okay, and when we do our review for Spider-Man, she's like, we've already done that.
That was 3 months ago.
And then when we were planning our trips to see Doctor Strange, I was like, all right, so we'll record the review of Spider-Man.
You're just like, it's a superhero movie, aka Spider-Man.
AKA Spider-Man, the Tom Holland film. Okay, well, why don't we say one thing that we liked about the movie spoiler-free and one thing we didn't like about the movie spoiler-free, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay, that's a great idea. So, spoiler-free, what I really liked is there's a lot of Sam Raimi-ness in like some really fun horror, some real crazy angles, and also the Danny Elfman of it. I think I didn't love like the entire score, but there were definitely really cool moments and cool instrumental choices that were very Danny Elfman. My non-spoiler thing I didn't really like, I will just say that it feels like a movie you can tell that, and this is stuff that has been talked about, pretty openly. You can tell that schedules got shuffled around and the movie had to have like parts rewritten on the fly and reshot and shuffled around. So I would say it's uneven in a way that I did not like.
Yes. My spoiler-free thing that I did really like was that I would say it's fun all the way through. Like, I wasn't bored. I had a good time. Whether that is 100% always because it's a great movie, no. However, I think in terms of Marvel movies, not every Marvel movie has to be the best Marvel movie. And I would much rather watch a Marvel movie that's not one of my favorites that's fun to watch than one that's not one of my favorites that I just find pretty much boring to sit through, So that is... in like
a range with like, I'm gonna say Thor the Dark World as that was so boring, I will literally never watch that again in my life, to like, I don't know, let's say Spider-Man No Way Home, since we've had that one, as like, I love this movie, I will watch it every week and cry through it and have the best time ever. Like, where like does this fall for you?
I think, well, certainly you created a big range. So,
I know, I'm sorry, I was really thinking more like phases.
I think like, it's somewhere around like Iron Man 3 and...
You know what? I could absolutely see that.
No, you know what? I think that's exactly where it is. It's right where, like, I like watching Iron Man 3. I think the Harley is cute. I think there are some stupid, funny things in it. And that's exactly how I feel about this movie. It also helps, I think, me that I went into it knowing that it got pretty bad reviews. So I, like, me and my two roommates that I went with, we all three went in like, we have very low expectations and we're going to have a good time. And so I think with that in our heads, we did have a good time watching it.
So what was your spoiler-free thing you didn't like?
My spoiler-free thing that I didn't like, I similarly feel like I was like, I'm with you, Act 1. I'm with you, Act 2. Where are we going, Act 3? What happened to you? How did we piece you together? And I also there were some character choices made that I didn't necessarily agree.
Those were gonna go in the spoiler part of the review. Spoiler-free section, if you're going to see the movie anyway, I personally wouldn't pay like to see it in IMAX or 3D. Go on an afternoon on a matinee ticket, hide some bourbon in your coat.
I was about to say, definitely drink or like you know, if you're in a place where it's legal, smoke a little bit, I think you'll enjoy the movie a lot more.
Yeah, or at the least go with, you know, friends. Obviously, I know that not everybody who partakes. Go with friends, you know, just don't take it seriously. Just have a great time. If you're not like feeling the super pressure, like I need to keep up with every single thing, feel free to read the wiki and find out what happens and wait for it to come out on streaming. I don't find it like the most pressingly urgent. You will be lost with the rest of the Marvel world if you don't, you know, it's fine.
Yeah. I think my main piece of advice, just like Jess said, for this movie is I think the letdown of this movie was that a lot of people, because it's called Multiverse of Madness, expected it to answer a lot of questions that we've been asking in the MCU. We expected a lot of cameos that this movie really wasn't capable of providing. And so I think people expected it to be something like a Avengers movie in terms of epicness, and it's just like a Doctor Strange movie. And I would like us all to like go into our brains and remember what the first Doctor Strange movie was and realize that we really needed to manage our expectations. Like, oh, again, in terms of movies on the list, like if I were to watch the first Doctor Strange a million years ago when I watched it for the first time, and then somebody told me that I would have had as much fun in the theater while watching the second one, I would have been like, no. I tried to watch Doctor Strange twice. I fell asleep the first time. I kid you not. Like it's below Thor: The Dark World for me.
That's a fair point. I have never seen it. Every time I get 10 minutes into it, Benedict Cumberbatch's American accent fills me with such rage. I want to puncture my own eardrums. So I have never managed to finish that movie.
So yeah, Thor: The Dark World, at least I've got some brother banter to keep me going.
That's true. You get the little fun Chris Evans cameo.
Yes, exactly.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, better than Thor: The Dark World.
Manage your expectations and go to have a good time.
Beautiful. Well said, Alex. Here ends the spoiler-free review. Okay, so I am going to set the context for my personal experience of this movie.
Yeah.
As I just said, I've never seen the first one. And there were some points, and I do want to talk to you about it, like, is this building on things that happened in the first one that I would feel more invested in certain relationships? Damn, well, that's unfortunate.
Wait. You mean the Rachel McAdams of it all?
Yeah. Well, we'll put a pin in that. We got to get to that. But so there is that. There's also that I just had like 3 straight days of travel. So I was exhausted. And also I saw it by myself. So all of those do affect an experience. Absolutely. That said, I hated this movie. I hated it so much. Truly.
Flames.
Exactly. 20 minutes into this movie, I was furious. I was like, I hate this movie so much. I want to leave. But we are reviewing it for the channel, so I have to watch it. So that's the other mitigating factor here, is that I was like, I have to watch this movie and I don't want to. So like, I was very resentful.
Once you get there,
there's no coming back from that.
I really feel like you would have liked this more if we had watched it together. And that's not being like egotistical, but I feel like if you had felt the freedom to laugh like I did when they introduced skunk hair man bun speaking Spanish Benedict Cumberbatch, then you would have helped. Then it would have helped, because no one else in my theater was laughing until I laughed, and then we all said, yeah, that's fucking ridiculous.
Listen, I do have a note about the questionable hair choices throughout the whole movie. And I was so glad after the movie was over, I listened to NPR's Pop Culture Happy Hour when they did their Doctor Strange review, and they commented on the wigs and they were like, it looks like a hat sitting on his head. I'm like, correct. I'm like, why? Who hates
did that?
Benedict Cumberbatch so much?
And what did
Doctor Strange wig?
And what did Rachel McAdams do to you to give her that horrible color? Horrible.
This is a woman with a beautiful strawberry blonde, the coloring that makes it sing. What is wrong with why does the universe hate Rachel McAdams? Why is she in this movie?
And why did they put her in that horrible jumpsuit?
Oh, so ugly, awful. Okay, anyway, so I had a problem straight from the beginning. I felt like I was watching the third act of the movie, right? Mm-hmm. I'll say the opening with America and Skunk Strange. Fine. I don't mind opening in media res.
Yeah. Sorry.
It was that works fine. My problem is as soon as we're back in like our universe and the movie decides to hit the ground running, which means we take no time to develop any characters, to have people have motivations, to have anything make sense. It's just like 5 minutes after the opening action sequence, we're in the what's it place and having a huge fight. And I'm like, why? Nothing was established. I don't care about these characters.
Oh, the wedding.
Oh, the wedding. Yeah, the wedding was, I forgot about that scene. I was talking about once we're in the mystical, magical land.
Oh, because there's the fight before that.
I kind of consider the fight at the wedding part of the opening
with the America. Okay, I got you. I got you. Okay, now I'm where you are. I was like, wait, okay. which magical land?
Yeah. Sorry. the magical land of Rachel McAdams' wedding. Side note, not sure that we want to get into this, but we love the trope of the disposable black man, love interest, who is just there to be like disposed of when the white love interest is ready to re-enter the picture. That's cute.
Yeah, I had issue with that. I was like, guys, come on. Which at first it didn't bother me because I really thought we were going to do a storyline where Doctor Strange just like didn't get Rachel McAdams, which was great because does not deserve Rachel McAdams. Like, I thought that's the story we were telling, but no, it's not the story we were telling. So,
no, other universe, Rachel McAdams was like, go to her. Anyway, I hated that. So that's part of where I was like, okay, to be fair, while I have seen Doctor Strange now in 3 movies, he hasn't been the main character. So fair enough. Maybe I would have more feelings for him as a person if I had watched his movie. However, I did care about Wong, right? That's his name. Mm-hmm. The one who's allegedly the Sorcerer Supreme, even though Doctor Strange was in charge of everything, and was the most powerful person. So I was like, well, and I'm pretty sure I've definitely seen Wong for far less screen time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I just wish after the opening, when America gets shoved into our universe, we had slowed everything completely down. No big action sequence. Just let us sit with these characters. Let America exist away from Doctor Strange for a second. Let's see her as like this kid on the street trying to keep herself safe, blah, blah, blah. Because she just had Doctor Strange try to kill her. 10 seconds later, she runs into another Doctor Strange. She's like, throws her arms around him. He's like, save me, buddy. And I'm like, why would she trust him?
That was my question too. I was like, and presumably you're being betrayed by every single Doctor Strange,
right?
Except for this one who is the outlier. So why are you trusting of him, sweet girl?
Right. And I wish they had established that. And I think I've seen a lot of people who were really upset with America's characterization in the movie. Neither of us like read the comics, so we don't really know her.
I liked America. I thought she was one of the best parts of the movie.
I liked her too, but people were pretty upset because she's like the strongest member of the Young Avengers. She's really like independent and powerful, and I did see someone describe her as the sexy lamp situation. I was like, well, I liked her and I thought the actress was really great, but I just assumed they were setting her up for her own stuff in the future. If they're not, if this is her thing, then yes, she was a human MacGuffin that was just being shuffled around from place to place. You know,
I think this was a really great intro for her, and I think we're setting her up to do more. It's the same way we introduced Tom Holland in the middle of, you know, like this is just so we don't have to do a whole origin story for her. We can start her on like big things, you know.
Yeah
And I appreciated that. And to be fair, she got a lot more screen time in this than Tom Holland got in his intro movie, or Scarlet Witch got in her intro movie.
Well,
you know,
definitely that. But for as far as Tom Holland, it's not really a fair one-to-one comparison, because we'd already had 5 Spider-Man movies already, and even though he wasn't those Spider-Man, we had spent a lot of time with Spider-Man and know who Spider-Man is and what they want, you know. So
I wonder if she'll get a Disney Plus show to her own, because that would be really, I would watch her do the jumping and stuff like that. I think that would make a really great Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hold out hope on a more characterization from her, because I can see if they're going to dedicate a whole show to her doing that stuff, why they wouldn't want to do the exact same thing in Doctor Strange.
I just wish that she had been established at the beginning of the movie and like had time to give her personality and again show her connection to Doctor Strange, because the movie was set up as if we should have like really strong feelings about their, you know, Mando, Baby Yoda kind of dynamic, but they didn't establish it. And in fact, what they did from the very first scene was show us why she shouldn't trust him, because he's a horrible, horrible betrayer who would literally like murder her. Yeah. My notes are, for one thing, I was like typing them hurriedly during the credits. And they're just very funny to me. I have like totally Frankenstein's monster, could see it all mashed together. That's where I was like, and I mentioned later, I swear to God, I woke up at 3 a.m. and made more notes because I was dreaming about my notes. But I feel like you could feel like the Sam Raimi horror vision, and then you could feel the scenes that were like, we're the Marvel people and we're going to tell you have to have this exact kind of joke every 22 seconds and people have to make the quips and you have to have this exact kind, like I felt like I could feel the very different visions for the movie mashed together. Like it did not flow. And I just kept thinking like, I wish I could pull about an hour and 20 minutes out of this movie and you'd be left with 45 minutes of a really fun, great, like zombie horror. Like jumping, you know, ahead, and you know, I know we're both gonna have issues with this, but I did enjoy Evil Wanda. I liked that we got back to some of her like creepy Age of Ultron physical stuff.
I wish I could have put that in my spoiler-free review, but obviously I couldn't. But my favorite part of this film was a return of Wanda. Like her
coming out of the reflection.
Yes, you should have seen me. I was like, yes! I've been waiting for my spooky queen back.
The Age of Ultron is her
right.
And I'm like, God bless. Number one, Elizabeth Olsen, absolutely MVP of this movie.
Stunning acting performance. Like her work, girl just always does her work.
Yes,
you know.
Yes, she does. And you can see that she has continued to work with a choreographer because she still has these beautiful movements that she's doing with her hands, and then all of that weird like breaker kind of stuff she was doing with her body.
And then just even her different like voice tonality as like evil, like possessed Wanda versus like,
yeah, she has a good vocal range.
She was stunning performance for what was given to her.
Really come to a great happy medium, I think, with the accent, because we definitely got a lot of accented Wanda, but it was very much a person who has lived away from her home country for a long time, and the accent gets stronger when she's upset. Like they did that in WandaVision, but it wasn't quite there yet. I think they really perfected it in this movie to where she didn't go like full like Boris and Natasha all of a sudden, but just her accent would show up like at the ends of words and like getting clipped off in certain ways. And I thought it was just really well done. Elizabeth Olsen is fantastic. She's so beautiful. And this movie is definitely in love with her face and her eyes in particular, which like, of course, why wouldn't you be, you know?
I mean, I was in love with her.
Yeah.
I was like, well, first of all, I went into the movie being like, well, since WandaVision, I can feel very confident in saying that I think Scarlet Witch is my favorite Avenger, because she was my favorite Avenger secretly after some other movies, but I didn't feel like she was in enough for me to really say that.
Right.
So I would always be like Spider-Man, which is true. I do love me some Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But now that we have full like psycho Wanda, like yeah, she's everything to me. She's everything to me. She really, really is. I can't. She was like, they were like, can't you be happy that your kids are happy with another version of you and alive? And she said, no. Am I happy? No.
I really hated that I wasn't watching the movie with you in like the third scene when Wong and Doctor Strange are like, did you notice anything about the octopus? And they're like, oh, I did notice he had runes. And I was like, runes, Wanda.
Runes, Wanda. Yes. And then what her like, okay, sorry, I'm just gonna go through a couple things that were my favorite parts of the film. Okay, they all have to do with Wanda and then a Rachel McAdams cameo.
This is like jumping all around, and I think it's just gonna have to be what it is.
It's when they're in her like dreamscape, and he's like, oh, these apple blooms, they smell really real, and she's like, that's because they're real, all natural, and she like hands him a little branch, and then he's like, we need your help, and then she snatches that branch right back. She goes, no. And my second favorite part is when it's like very it's a very sad scene. I thought it was funny when she's like looking at the kids, and the kids
I definitely laughed softly into my mask multiple like emotional moments in this
when
movie.
She's like crying because her kids have seen her be Scarlet Witch for the first time, which is actually like very emotive and sad, whatever. But then she goes, I would never hurt anybody. Meanwhile, she's got like a trail of dead bodies in the back. She's like,
Wanda, you literally have corpse dust on your
on your fingers. She was like, I would never hurt you. I would never hurt anybody. And it reminds
sorry, a little bit of blood. Let me get that off of you.
Let me get that. It reminds me of that Haunting of Hill House moment where she's like, no, I didn't. Like, it was great. And then the absolute best part of this whole film is when Doctor Strange leaves Rachel McAdams to guard him from the corpse monsters with nothing but her wits and a terrible dye job. And this full muggle.
I love that he was like, he goes, guard my body in case ghosts come for it. And I'm like, y'all, you don't want to give her any follow-up on that?
You didn't even give her your little ring. Like, she
fight the ghosts to drag you to hell, whatever. No? Okay, cool. Yeah.
First of all, Sam Raimi, I love Drag You to Hell, whatever the name of the movie is. It's a great movie. It's very fun. And in this scene, that is my favorite part of this movie, is from when she takes that urn that we have not spoken of at all in this movie. And she goes,
best. And I was like, I have no idea what you just said, Rachel. And I'm glad you knew what you were doing.
And she takes that candle and she says, go back to hell. Like, we're in a different movie all together. And then that flame-throwing urn, it is a cinematic masterpiece, comedic genius. Where did that come from? What was that?
That's why I'm saying this is a Frankenstein's monster movie. Like, I want to watch that movie.
Yes, exactly. That movie was Sam Raimi, because that's the very drag me to hell. It goes along with the Wanda creepy. And I was like, yes, exactly. Like, I had so much fun during all the parts that I could tell were very much that director.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then Doctor Strange was there.
Yes.
Because
I will say his little ghost cape, love. He should pass them back. That was fabulous.
I also did love Zombie Strange. I thought it was absolutely fucking
maybe
ridiculous.
his best hair, so, you know.
What I loved about that was that they gave him perhaps what is supposed to be his most emotional scene in the movie with him as Zombie Strange, and you're supposed to get a motive with him in America. Right. I was like, guys, there were so many choices. Like I said, Act 3, wild.
Yeah, I one of the things that is a problem for me about the movie overall is that, number one, fucking figure out your goddamn multiverse. Why are the rules different? Once again, why does this multiverse have nothing to do with any of the other multiverse problems that we've had? It's just a random coincidence.
That's my biggest issue is like, I thought we were layering the issues of the multiverse to lead up to the multiverse of madness. Correct. Why is the multiverse of madness independent of Loki, of WandaVision, of What If? No Way Home, of What If? Like, why are those all independent properties? I didn't mind it being independent before because I thought we were leading to this.
Right. Because he was going to have to be the person to be like, rope them all and fix the... it's a complete coincidence that Multiverse Girl just happens to punch her way into this universe. It's a complete coincidence that another Doctor Strange has destroyed a whole other universe and become an evil Doctor Strange, completely independent of the Strange Supreme from What If, who literally ended the entire universe and like was put into like a little black ball or whatever it was at the end of that show. Like it's actually a cool Doctor Strange story, What If, believe it or not. But it has nothing to do with this whatsoever. It was just, that was so frustrating. And then we've already established in the previous multiverse stuff in the MCU that in other universes, you can be completely different. You can be an alligator. You know, you're Tobey Maguire. You have all these different things. But in this one, he's the exact same person.
One time he had a ponytail. And that
was radically different. He lives in the same house. He's got the same tragic family backstory.
Right. That's what was weird. When they were doing that, like, how do you know it's you? And he started telling that story, I was like, for sure that man is going to say that's not what happened to my family.
I've never had a sister. Or I've got 12 brothers and sisters who are alive. What are you? No. Yeah. He's just copied, but sometimes there's plants on buildings.
And are we trying to say that America is the only person that doesn't have multiples and multiple universes?
Yes, and then I was like, wait, I thought that was Wanda, but then thinking about it, I don't think they actually established that in WandaVision. I think that's just something that's a thing from the comics.
Okay, so they're giving that to America. That's fine because it doesn't make sense for Wanda's whole plot if that's the case.
Right. I also love the sudden invention of every time you dream, it's something happening to someone in another universe. I'm like, wow, we are deep in Marvel to find this out. But okay, sure.
All right, cool.
Why not? And everybody's like, are you dream walking? And like, this has never been... I'm sorry, I shouldn't be a bitch about some things because it is a movie and it's allowed to create its own stuff. But this is
the dream walking thing. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, I thought it was cool. It was just like, there was so much like angst around it being this like horrible, terrible, unforgivable thing to do. And I'm like, it's wild that we've never heard of this before, but it's like the central, anyway,
but we also aren't, we're getting more into like magical realism and the people that are governing that. Like, that's not what the first three phases of the MCU were about.
Right,
We are more
for
ground
sure.
level. So it makes sense that we're just seeing these characters that are like, these are the rules of the universe. Because it's
Fair
not
enough.
like what Black Widow was gonna like experiment with dream walking. Like,
I would have loved that for, actually, I want Florence Pugh to dream walk.
oh, for sure. I believe that of her. I think she can do it.
I do have a note, music fight the best, and I agree. That was the most fun and innovative thing I think that Marvel has maybe ever done. That was delightful. That was evil Fantasia. Okay, I've never seen Fantasia. I think Fantasia has a lot of evil in it. That was live action Fantasia. It was,
I was having
amazing.
A great
time. Great
time.
That was really fun. Like, huge thumbs up.
I said that my next cosplay is going to be the note that saved Doctor Strange. And
I love that. That's adorable.
Look, it was so cute. Just a little note.
Little harp.
Ding, ding.
I have a note. I mean, I love Charlize. Like, sure, that is true. I do love Charlize.
Who was Charlize in this?
Charlize, she appeared in the credit scene.
Oh, the post credit. Yeah. I do love Charlize. Yeah, she was wearing great. She looked great.
She did. Is she just, speaking of people who are in every universe, Charlize Theron is in every universe. She's a Fast 8. She's in her own superhero show, on a movie on Netflix where she's an immortal. She's in the one with Will Smith, Hancock. She's an immortal being in that.
Yeah, she's got a lot of universes.
She's in the Berlin movie where she fights in a long stairway fight. That one.
This is great content.
Yeah, no, I know. Obviously, she's in Mad Max. I'm listing things that Charlize Theron has been in. Okay. Here, should we get into the Wanda of it all? The other side.
There are two big things that we've been dancing around. The Wanda of it all and our alternate universe where we get Peggy.
Yes.
Where we get Peggy. We haven't talked about that.
Yes. Well, let's talk Wanda first.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thing. I obviously, as we've discussed, did not mind evil Wanda. That was great fun. I loved getting that back. However, the motivation for that, the entirety of the show WandaVision was about Wanda processing grief, not just the grief of losing Vision, but about all of the loss and trauma she had dealt with in her life and coming to a place of acceptance, as in every episode represented a different stage of grief so that she could come to acceptance at the end.
Right.
And it was wonderful. She got a character arc. She learned and she grew.
Right.
I don't have a problem with her turning evil after that. That is fine. I do have a problem with her being introduced in the first scene of this movie, full on crazed, my children. This is me doing an impression of the Empress of the Rachnos in the first Donna Noble episode of Doctor Who, by the way.
I'm not a monster. I'm a mother. A literal quote from this film.
It's just, even the idea of Wanda breaking bad because of her imaginary children, fine. But then that has to be her arc throughout the movie. We have to see her pushing the boundaries and everybody being like, yo, Wanda, this is getting dark. It's getting bad. Don't do these things. Pushing. This is why I was so angry at the movie from the very beginning and felt like I was watching the end of the movie, was because her big Carmitage. Sure, I got there. Her big fight on Carmitage, just, that was the end of the movie. That was finally, we've been betrayed and Wanda has fully broken
I don't know how we go from her acceptance and I want my kids back to I'm gonna murder a bunch of children at a school
Yeah.
Like, we needed to see her get there because
Yes.
especially since WandaVision was so well received and so detailed about her mental state, like for us to wake up and her be to that level is really, like, for me, even her conceptualizing killing America, she should have been grappling with that.
Right.
Like,
because at the very, like, WandaVision didn't deal with the fallout of her, like, imprisoning and torturing that whole town, but she, like, felt bad about it at the end. So we're jumping over her being like, I kind of feel bad, sort of, maybe, straight up to her being like, yeah, I'm gonna kill this child. And we're like, Wanda, you're gonna need to fill in some steps for me, babes. I need to know how you,
like, for she was just very irrational and just like a villain to be a villain, which was very uninteresting to me. Now, is she my favorite Marvel villain? Yes, because I love Wanda.
Yes.
But I love Elizabeth Olsen because she's just like acting the hell out of this. I mean, like, I would love to watch her and Loki play, to be honest.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
I think Loki would just lose so easily, but
but that would be so fun to see them play like illusions against each other, like really going into like trickster stuff. That would be really cool.
But yeah, it always annoys me. I call it like starting back at zero. It's like she learned nothing in WandaVision, and so we just started her. But we didn't start back at zero. We started at like -50. Like, we
started
true.
her at worse than she was in Age of Ultron.
Which
again, that's fine. I don't mind her being the big evil, but you know, and I was thinking a lot about Dark Willow because the scene of her in her little apple orchard in England, when we saw it in the trailer, it reminded me so much of, is it season 7, right? Season 6 is when Willow becomes evil. And so then when we open up in season 7, she is living over in England, like, you know, learning to not use her magic and trying to chill out, etc. So I thought that's where we were going with Wanda.
And then maybe when they find the Darkholds, then that they ask her to use it. And then it like corrupts her with the possibility of getting her children back.
Right.
And that would be way more interesting to me. I guess for me, it's just, I buy that she went to -50 because the Darkhold corrupted her. I just want to see that.
Yeah. It can't happen at the beginning of a movie, especially right after we've seen her be good. I don't know. I think it just really, like, taking like a huge view, WandaVision is the only property that bothered to give Wanda a logical flow of character. And all of the movies, she has been whatever that particular movie needs her to be without any kind of connective tissue. And it's just and the same with Vision, honestly. And it's just been left to those two actors to make it work without any of the writing connecting it and letting those characters, and now Wanda alone, be anything. So it was very frustrating. And look, I have seen many people online make the Daenerys comparison, and I don't think that's unfair. The Daenerys suddenly breaking bad in the final season.
I think it's a little different because we do have Wanda being corrupted. I feel like it's a little more like Venom in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. You told me last night when you finished it that you enjoyed it like Spider-Man 3.
Yes, and that is exactly how I felt. But yeah, it just frustrates me because, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, I love Wanda as a character, and WandaVision gave her such depth of character, and so she is a real character now, and I wish we had continued that in the movies. And then you have such an incredible actress in Elizabeth Olsen, and it feels a shame to like keep on making her, you know.
That's what I was trying to say, bringing up Willow, is that we saw Willow's like slow temptation for power, and then we saw like a grieving moment that really, you know, pushed her over the edge. And even then, she's not like instantly Dark Willow when Tara's killed. It still takes a few more pushes to get her there. So it's just, I missed that story. And maybe we just needed a WandaVision season 2 before this movie came out. You know, maybe we needed to see the continuation of that little post-credit scene of her like astral projecting while she was looking through the dark hold. Like maybe we needed to see the season of that, of her searching and pushing while still being essentially the same and then slowly falling.
I was very confused about why she suddenly stopped loving Vision.
Not a mention.
He was not. She said,
White Vision is still flying around out there somewhere, and she said,
good. He's a sperm donor. I just wanted my kids. Like, even in her alternate reality, she wasn't going to anyone's where Vision got to be alive.
No. And wildly, none of those alternate, and not a single alternate reality. Like, she's literally living in the home from the Malcolm in the Middle episode of WandaVision, and yet there's no Vision nor mention of Wanda just single momming. She was like, I made them up whole cloth. I didn't even need a pretend dad to make my pretend children. Wild.
Yeah. I don't know what that was about, like whether or not they couldn't get him. I doubt
just
that's
didn't have his contract is over.
Yeah, it was very weird that Vision was not a part of it, especially since he was such a huge part of WandaVision.
I did appreciate that we got the little music when he was like, I know someone who can take care of runes, and then it was like do 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 do. It's like, oh yeah, remember
WandaVision. Yeah,
because I remember somebody saying like several months back before the promo stuff started coming out, like, this is a completely different movie. Like, this is not the movie we filmed. It is 100% changed from the original movie that we made, because it was supposed to come out before No Way Home and before Loki, and it was supposed to come out right after WandaVision.
Oh, weird. Okay, so it's like
it's complete nonsense because of that.
Okay, well then this order was why I feel like everyone thought it was going to solve all the multiverse.
Yeah.
Also, the fact, wait, what? No. So that's why there's almost no mention of Spider-Man with all of this multiverse stuff. Because he says,
except for him being like, it just happened.
I was with this kid, right? Just a second ago. And I was like, okay, but we're talking about big like variants, and we're not, first of all, we had a different word for it in this movie. I don't know what it was called, but I was like, but again, it was supposed to come out before Loki. I find that absolutely ridiculous. That ridiculous.
Yeah. And again, this comes down to like reshoots and scheduling, but it did come out post No Way Home. Yeah. So it should reflect it, even if that means, I'm sorry, suck it up, you got to film more. Even though Doctor Strange no longer remembers Peter Parker, he clearly remembers Spider-Man, and he knows the multiverse happened. So there should be some, at least like residue, when he starts mentoring another plucky little kid who's messing everything up with their power. Like, at the least it should show up in the acting choices. And I'm not blaming Benedict Cumberbatch here, because clearly nobody sat down and plotted this out, but like, that should be reflected. Like, there should be some like pain there. It just
I was really this all makes a lot more sense now. It is okay, because its placement in the MCU really bothered me, because I was like, why are we not building on anything? And then in No Way Home, we have like Doctor Strange being like, oh, da, 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 children. And then in this,
I believe it was supposed to, everything was supposed to build up to No Way Home. That was supposed to be the
like
big
him being like, I can be a dad. I can be a dad now because
yeah,
that makes more sense because they did a lot of big old mess ups in Doctor Strange with the multiverse. So it makes sense that when he's doing the spell in No Way Home, it like is even more like we got big blue cracks coming down.
I wonder if that spell was maybe that wasn't part original. I don't know. No, No Way Home feels so well crafted to me.
It's
that
just
I can't...
so interesting that No Way I mean, No Way Home is a much better final thing to the multiverse than this movie, because it's just better in every way.
But I was thinking like, okay, if it's because of everything else that's been happening that the other Peters and the villains and everything come through. I mean, that makes sense with this story because they kept talking about incursions and what happens when universes collide, et cetera, et cetera. So that would make sense that all of this stuff would lead up to No Way Home. But then you lose like the responsibility arc for Peter. So let's talk about the whole Illuminati thing. I know people are going to have big feelings on that.
Now, when they said Illuminati,
that was one of only 2 vocal reactions in my theater, and it was a laugh.
Yeah.
And not a like recognition laugh, but a like LOL laugh.
Like Ben and I cracked up. Nobody else was laughing. And then it took us a literal 5 minutes to realize, oh, they're not playing this as a joke.
This is really what they're called. Yeah.
Embarrassing for them. Like, I don't care if that's what it's called in the comics, y'all. You know, the Illuminati is a humongous cultural like name. Like, you can't just like this is like a part of the zeitgeist. You can't just name something in a Marvel Cinematic Universe the Illuminati and not have me think of like Beyonce and
goofy conspiracy theories.
Yeah, like guys. And then they had to say it so many times. They were like, yes, and now we must speak to the head of the Illuminati. And I was like, the Illuminati?
What a brief note. Professor X fully disappears from a scene. And I was like, why have we not looked at Professor X once? And then he just randomly shows up somewhere else. I'm like, oh, so we just didn't get an establishing shot of him being like, hey guys, I'm going to go try to stop her and leaving the room. We just forgot to get that shot and we didn't go back in and pick it up. Cool. Okay, so let's talk. Number one, overall, I will say, guys, I know you all wanted Jim as Reed Richards, and I feel like this is actually proof you're not getting it and not proof that you are getting it. Him being like turned into string cheese was them being like, all right, we did your little fan casting. See, in an alternate universe, this is who he is. So like, congrats. You did get to see it. Just, you know.
Him turning into string cheese was hilarious. Also, that was a huge...
Okay, that whole scene was very funny. And it was, you know, dead quiet, but
what mouth?
I
like shot was very vocal during that. Like they like screamed for Professor X, they screamed for Jim, like they were like clapping for Jim. Like
so exactly 2 reactions the whole movie in my theater. When Jim appeared, it was like, oh no, so they said Illuminati and there were a few people that giggled, and then a couple of minutes later when Jim appeared, there was like, oh, and that was it. No, not a laugh, not an applause, not an excited whisper, nothing. Just a lot of like people getting up and going to the bathroom. And then while we're sitting during the credits, it's completely quiet. And then people were kind of muttering like, I mean, it was good. I heard like multiple different people talking, like, I mean, it was good. Like that exact tone. It was a very well-received movie. I am so happy that you got to meet Black Bolt of the Inhumans, that horrible show that we had all agreed we were going to pretend did not exist. And then they brought him back. I'm very sad they didn't bring back his wife and her ludicrous hair and also the teleporting dog. Like, guys, if we're doing it, let's commit to this. And then Wanda going, what mouth? And him blowing his own brains out. hilarious.
So
that was
funny.
Very funny.
So funny. That whole section is a highlight of the film.
I did enjoy that quite a lot. I loved getting to see Captain Carter in action. So she's actually in What If.
Yes, I've watched her episode. That's the only episode of What If I've watched.
Gotcha.
So I've watched her episode, and so I was actually so excited to see her and Monica fight together.
Fun. Maria, not
Maria.
Monica.
Sorry, Maria. I get the Monica Maria.
I know. I always have to stop and think, because Monica, very stupid, but Monica's the longer name, so I'm like, the mom must be Monica. And the daughter's
yes, that's exactly how I do it. In my brain.
And then I have to stop and reverse it.
Yeah, Maria and Captain Carter. I was so excited to
that
see
was fun.
her
and it was
in
a
real
fun
life
fight scene. I really enjoyed seeing that. I loved like Maria. I was excited for Maria versus Scarlet Witch, because I was like, ooh, I like, Captain Marvel does have essentially like the power of a sun.
They underpowered her. I feel like they underpowered Maria to like let Scarlet Witch
of course her. Because Carol has like just fully, but that's okay, because as we have discussed, Carol is unfortunately very overpowered.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I was just like, we didn't give her the same level of power that Carol has.
We pulled it back a little bit. Yeah. But it was interesting, because I was like, in a very like kid playing on the playground kind of way, I'm like, who would win in a fight, Captain Marvel or the Scarlet Witch? And I don't know that we really have an answer, but that was fun. Yes, and I am gruesome enough to have laughed at every one of the horrible violent deaths that they all. Okay,
Peggy being impaled by her own shields.
Rough. Pegs, I'm so sorry.
You didn't deserve this way to go. I do want to watch a whole live action of her being
Captain Carter.
Yeah, I know we'll never get it. It was like a fun tease for this.
Yeah. It was.
And you can have too much of a good thing. It's the same.
Yeah. It's absolutely fan service. I mean, I personally would rather we just get more Agent Carter. So we got more of that Peg. So what else on that? Oh, we got a little bit of the comic book theme when Professor X came out. Can we talk about Chiwetel's wig? Because I was like, you're in Atlanta, so you stopped by Tyler Perry Studios to borrow, or
oh yes, they gave us another one of their "Hey, lesbians exist"
right? Yes,
with I thought it was really, I'm not gonna like shit on that. I thought it was cute, and I liked her little pride pin that she wears.
Yes, that was cute. Apparently America is a lesbian. So
love that.
I mean, she's a kid and she didn't really have time to date in this movie, so it didn't really.
It was fine. I did like her little pride pin though. I thought it was really cute.
I liked her a lot. Honestly, I thought she was really great. Oh wait, here was my really random thought we were getting Phantom of the Opera vibes all of a sudden. I know it's just the fact that they kept saying Christine every 20 seconds, but then like I was gonna say bad hair Doctor Strange, but that doesn't narrow it down. Final Doctor Strange. No, a strange goatee Doctor Strange. That doesn't narrow it down. Anyway, he was like surrounded by candles, and he's like, "Leave me, Christine."
Yes, no, that was very Phantom. That was actually my favorite version of Doctor Strange, because he was freaking weird. I was like, yeah, that's a weird dude. He's been up here alone for a while.
Yeah.
It takes a great toll. I wasn't sure that our Doctor Strange was so pure of heart that the Darkhold couldn't take.
Well, he did have the third eye at the end.
The third eye. If we were gonna do it, why did we do it badly?
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Like I get it. It's iconic from the comics. I'm not coming for the choice to finally make it happen. I just wish that they would have respected y'all who've been asking for it and done it right, because that did not look correct.
The eye just sort of floating 4 inches in front of his face. Rough. Oh my god, this moment drove me so crazy. And this is, I guess, It's fine. It's a typical horror movie thing, but they're running through the river tunnels, slamming doors shut, and Wanda's busting through them, right? It's a good scene. It's fun. It's part of that fun section. They slam one door shut and then they just stop and they stare at it. 2 solid minutes. Here's the thing. That's already stupid, but it's a horror movie trope. Fine. They're running away and they're like, I think we stopped her. But they're not running away from Wanda. They're running to the book. Why did you just stop and stare? Keep running. And you still could have had the jump scare. You still could have had her just appear in front of them. It still would have worked. But that was the third thing. I remember now that there was noise in my theater. People being like, why are you stopping?
Why are you
keep moving? And not in a fun, like, oh, get the key in the lock kind of way in a horror movie. Just so like, what's happening?
It's also, you're right. It's too full. It's like, why is it so long of them just?
Yeah. Like if they stopped and looked back and immediately said, I think that stopped her. And then she jumped out, fine. It would still be dumb, but I could deal with it. No, we fully stopped and tried to build tension. And the longer it went, the less tension there is for us, the audience, because we're like, this is stupid. Why are you standing here? My final note is just that I couldn't really give into the horror tropes because I felt like the movie was screaming at me for 2 hours. It's like nonstop action and it's really, really loud and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, there's no build of tension because you're just screaming at me. Right. I don't have a moment to be afraid of any of this. It's just like, oh, I recognize that is a jump scare, but I didn't jump once because it's the silence that makes those moments happen. It's like the movie was terrified if it wasn't yelling and if there wasn't a punchy punch fight every 22 seconds that you were going to get bored and walk out of the theater. And I'm like,
well, in fact, it's the opposite.
Correct. It just it stopped having any effect,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think that's all we could possibly say. Do we want one more Rachel McAdams? What were they doing with her? What was that character? We tried to give her more of a character, but then
it was nothing.
Yeah.
Yes. Here was one. We went Doctor Strange in America, wake up in these big plastic cells. Rachel McAdams, you're coming from a different universe. You could have diseases that we don't even have anything to protect from. I was like, that's a great point and something that's never addressed in these movies. It's like, that's kind of fun. Literally 5 seconds later, in comes Chiwetel. He's like, you have to go see the Illuminati. They just open up the door and walk him out. I'm like, what? And Rachel, there's no shot of Rachel being like, hey, he might have multiverse disease. Nothing. I'm like, then why even say that? Why did you bother to say that? And then undercut it. If you didn't want to make him walk around in a giant hazmat suit, then just cut the line. Just say, we're putting you in a big plastic cell because it's tradition in sci-fi movies to put somebody in a big clear plastic cell. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, I can't believe that every single version of this woman has made the mistake of dating Doctor Strange. Are you telling me that her only job in every single universe is to be the woman that Doctor Strange is pining after? Guys.
But she had a job in that one universe, so it was fine.
You always have to be the one holding the knife.
I did like when she read him for filth at her wedding.
That was great. Well, that's what I was saying. I loved that scene at first because it was before I saw the rest of the movie, and I thought she really just handed it to him and was like, get over me.
Yeah, and I actually did want to see the scene of her introducing him to her husband. Because that really shows this is over and I don't have any feelings left for you.
I care for you and I wish you well. I wish you no ill will, but this is my new partner and I'm happy and I hope you find happiness as well.
Yeah,
which is a signal to get over me. Thanks. Yeah.
But apparently Charlie is his comic book love interest, his other big one. So he's really just keeps being him. Yeah, just everyone. He's so out of his league. He needs to aim lower.
What? What? No. I don't think so. Not Charlize.
Charlize has no time for any bullshit. I don't see this lasting. Rachel McAdams is unfortunately very patient. Charlize is not.
I can't believe they put her in that horrible jumpsuit. I will never get over it. It was so bad, and that bad hair. And she should sue. Please leave all of your Doctor Strange thoughts in the comments below. And if you got this far in the video and you haven't seen the movie yet, I'm not gonna warn you about spoilers in the comments because
there's literally nothing left that we have not thoroughly spoiled.
So sound off in the comments. It's not a spoiler free zone. And catch us on the flippity flop with our next video.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.